Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Fragged Empire. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the setting, okay, for Fragged Empire. Fragged Empire is a brand new, actually, it's a newish. It came out in 2015. Tabletop role-playing game core rulebook. It's 383 pages long, and it has beautiful art and fantastic layout. But today, I'm going to talk about, specifically, I'm going to talk about the setting, okay? So let's talk about the setting of Fragged Empire. So Fragged Empire is a post-apocalyptic setting, which is, and actually the execution within the book for that concept is a little strange. It's unusual, okay? So essentially in this game, it takes place well over 1,000 years from now. There is spacefaring starships, and there are essentially 4 primary races within the game, okay? And so it is a space exploration game, primarily, okay? Which is kind of unusual, right? It's very unusual. It's actually, this game has a very unique setting. I've really never seen a setting exactly like this, and I don't really think it's derivative of anything. It really is its own unique setting, which I love. I think that's really great. By the way, my overall review for the setting, for the setting aspects specifically of Fragged Empire is 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it a lot. It's quite good. So what are the 4 races? So the first race is Corporation, right? Now, Corporation, you're like, wait, how's that a race, right? So really what these are is they're the ancestors of the Archon. So the Archon. So let me explain the history of the game. So essentially, at this point, actually in Fragged Empire, it's thousands of years from now, and it's well over 1,000 years from now. And within that time period, humanity is completely dead. There are no humans in this game. They are all gone, okay? And essentially, once humanity died, well, actually, as humanity was dying, it created these things called the Archons. So the Archons were creatures that looked like humans, but they were really kind of perfect. They were like the perfect specimen of humanity. The Archons were created, and then they got into, and then the Archons created additionally these things called the Zeons, right? And the Zeons are the enemies of the Archons, okay? And unlike perfect human beings, Zeons essentially were the exact opposite. They were very alien and different, okay? So essentially, everything in this game is created by humans, but not... so you're dealing with 4 distinct humanoid races. So Corporation are essentially near perfect humans, and you would play one if you wanted really high access to resources, if you wanted your character to be a near perfect specimen of a human being, and if you wanted power, okay? But it is kind of odd to have a race called Corporation. It is distinctly strange. So the next one is Catorans, okay? Catorans look like elves, right? But they're really, really interesting. And their aspect, the thing that makes them different is Catorans have a genetic history. Their history is genetically encoded within them. So they have the memories of all of their ancestors, of actually all Catorans, which means they're incredibly good at almost anything they want to do. And so, like, skills and all those kind of things, and even the ability to have knowledge, they have this genetic history, right? Which is really a very interesting aspect of the Catorans. There's only 2 other races, and those 2 races are Legion. Legion is the war race that were created by the Archons, right? They look like stone people, almost like golems, right? And very, very interesting race. Pretty much your tank race, very similar to your tank race. And then the Nephilim. And the Nephilim are, specifically the Nephilim are, and that is straight out of, the book of, straight out of the Holy Bible, Genesis chapter 6, the Nephilim. If you're not familiar with the Nephilim, they're talked about very briefly in the Bible, the Christian Bible. And basically, they're in early Genesis, and what they are is nobody really knows what they are, right? So they're not angels, they're not man. Some people believe that what Nephilim were is when the demons mated with human women, and that created the Nephilim, right? So they use that word here in this game, right? Now that word has a lot of freight, and they use that freight within the game. So the Nephilim are the closest thing to this game is very distinct from Dungeons and Dragons, but almost no tabletop role-playing game can escape from being compared to Dungeons and Dragons. So the Nephilim are generally the half-demon races from Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm not sure why the half-demon race name is escaping me in this moment. I've actually played them. Tieflings, excuse me. So the Nephilim are very much like Tieflings, okay? And also they're very alien, right? So those are your 4 races. There are some, the only reason I think the reason why I took a point off for this setting, I love this setting. I think it's really distinct. And one of the reasons why is it's just so new, so unique, and it doesn't feel like anything I've read before. It really is quite unique, and there's a lot to explore here. And with those 4 races, you have more than enough to tell some really cool stories, and very much, have an exciting game that has its own aspects, and you're doing you're telling your own story in a really unique world. There's more than enough here to do that. That's a huge accomplishment for a game. And so this game, the setting feels cohesive. It's got great, it has really good short stories in it. It's got breakdowns for each of the races. It feels very real. Another thing about the setting is it is an exploration game, right? So one of the things you can do in the game is you can spend time exploring different star systems, and starships are a big part of the game itself. And there are starship rules and all those kind of things. The other thing is the game is very combat heavy and has a lot of focus, especially a lot of this game book is taken up with telling you how to do combat all the way down to tactical miniatures level, right? And so there's just tons and tons of weapons in the book, and it even allows modification of weapons. So there's a high focus on combat within the books, and and there's lots for every single one of these different races to do. I really like this setting. There are some problems, all right? So I'm going to talk about, and I think the thing I would say is, let me put it this way. There's some things I would have done different. So here's some things that I would have done different than Wade Dyer chose to do in the setting. I think it's a terrible idea ever in any game to take humans out completely, right? Because we are human, right? And the reality is, if you say all of humanity is dead, it's a disconnect for me, right? Because one, I'm not going to get too deep or philosophical, but I think it's a major disconnect. It's saying your entire species is gone, right? And it kind of makes you wonder why, because the corporation, they look exactly like humans. There's no difference. So if the humans are gone, why do they look exactly like humans? It's a little odd. So I think that was a mistake to say that all humans are dead. I think that's really kind of strange. There's also a lot of philosophy and a lot of that gets connected with that. Now, Wade Dyer I think he knew what he was doing. Here's the issue. I don't like Numenera for the same reason. I think it's so far in the future that it makes everything alien. So that was a little bit of a dislike for me, was the fact that all humans are dead in this. It's a very strong choice, and I'm like, maybe too strong. The other issue is the post-apocalyptic. If you're going to use the words post-apocalyptic, right? Now, I get that this is post-apocalyptic. But if you're going for a post-apocalyptic setting, starships are out. Period. Done. End of sentence. Okay? I get the whole idea of a hardscrabble, starfaring race and all, but it doesn't make sense at all. We have all the resources in the world right now. Any nation on the planet would struggle even to get to Mars. You do not create starships and explore star systems on scarcity. You do that on abundance. And so it's a dissonance connecting post-apocalyptic setting and this idea of, oh, it's hard scrabble, you know, we need to do the best we can with each resource, and then you have starships. Starships come out of massive, ridiculous abundance, and the only people who have starships even today are, well, the closest thing humans have today to starships are billionaires. So that was a little bit of a disconnect. Overall, I absolutely love the setting of this game. It's really unique. I've really never seen anything like it. It really feels like it almost all came out of the head of Wade Dwyer, one person's vision, and I love that too. This does not feel like a committee game. I really, really love the setting for Fragged Empire. Take care.